Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different locations. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 20,000 New York Jet fans out there. On YouTube, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And make sure you contribute in the free way right here, right now by liking the video and hitting subscribe down below for more juicy New York Jets content. And of course on my Twitter account, at BoyGreen25, BOY, green the color 25. Check on the scrolling ticker for the deets. And we're here live as we are about 2 hours after every New York Jets football game this season. And a Debbie Downer, a tough loss on the road in hostile conditions, not just by the fans, but that wintry mix that was blustering around down there in Buffalo. And this is a game the Jets coulda, shoulda, woulda possibly had in this contest, but there are several reasons why they did not. We're going to go through all of those details, give you guys a couple of key injury updates, and we'll bring all of those to you as well. This is an interactive program. This is your first time here on the show or a multiple-time offender. Make sure you get your questions and comments in the comment section, whether you're watching on the Facebook, the Twitter, or the YouTube, and we'll bring you up here on the show. I have to tell you, I'm a little ticked off. I'm a little pissed off. There's good and bad from this game, and we'll dive into it. But I have to say, I'm angry because this is a game the Jets coulda, shoulda, woulda had. Let's go through. I've got my keys here of the reasons why we're not celebrating a victory, a potential sweep over the Buffalo Bills. Injuries. How could you not start this game? Some people will say, Paul, those are excuses. Shut up. But injuries, man. Quinnen Williams was a gosh darn beast in this game. 2 sacks, 2. He's already the first double-digit sack pass rusher here for the Jets since 2015. He had 2 sacks in the first half, and I imagine he was going to have many more. 11 sacks on the season, and like I said, arguably could have had even more in this game. He's taken out. It doesn't look good. According to the replay, the footage, it looks like a non-contact injury, and all, your mind goes to dark places when you hear non-contact injuries with players. And I just screamed to the high heavens, have the Jets not had enough injuries? People, football gods, have the Jets not sacrificed enough bodies to the football overlords to acquiesce to their lust, their absolute bloodlust for injuries after everything this team has battled through? Quinnen Williams goes down in this game. Mike White goes down in this game twice. Corey Davis goes out early after a huge physically contested catch. So you have him. You got George Fant, who also went down on the same play that Mike White went down. I mean, the injuries were just unbelievable. And you can't tell me this, that Quinnen Williams, as soon as he went down, all of a sudden the Bills could move it a little bit on offense. Coincidence? I think not. I think not. No. As soon as Quinnen Williams is out of there, of course the Buffalo Bills were able to move and groove the ball a little bit. Quinnen Williams was freaking going off, baby. He was freaking going bonkers. But we do have good news, and we're going to start off the show with good news on the injury thing. I'll take a quick detour because it's important to share this nugget and update from head coach Robert Salah. Again, if you were watching the game live, it did not look good under any circumstance on the Quinnen Williams business because, again, it was a non-contact injury. He's able to kind of bring himself to the locker room, but it did not look good. But we heard a positive update from the head coach after the game. I'm going to play you that bite right here via the head coach, via my Twitter account. Here it is. Here's Robert Salah, a little back and forth with Rich Cimini on the Quinnen Williams injury. Here we go.
No, it's a calf. Yeah. No, we're not worried. Yeah. What I got right now is day to day is from the trainers. They feel like he's got a chance to make it this week.
And in case you missed some of that commentary, let me transcribe it for you. It is this. Quinnen Williams did not suffer an Achilles injury. It was a calf injury. So that's number one. Achilles is obviously terrible. That can put you out for a year and change your explosiveness and everything else. So that long-term prognosis from an injury standpoint could be terrible. So from that standpoint, hearing that it's a calf and that an Achilles has been ruled out is spectacular news. Number two, he is day-to-day. Quinnen Williams is day-to-day, and he has, quote, a chance, according to the trainers, to play in the next available game, that one against the Detroit Lions at home at MetLife Stadium. Whew! bullet dodged. I mean, obviously it stinks because he was going off. He had 2 sacks in this game. He was disruptive. He was fantastic. And he was making plays all over the place. You wish you would have had him in this game to potentially make some noise and do all kinds of things and maybe help the New York Jets get the upset. So obviously from that standpoint, it's absolutely disappointing. But from a long-term view, a long-range view, thank goodness, it looks like Quinnen Williams will be okay. And he could play obviously in this next game. So that is absolutely massive news. But obviously Quinnen Williams going out changes the flow of this game. Mike White getting hurt twice. He got smacked the first time, and I would show you the footage, but NFL has copyright, so I can't show you those plays, but we could show you press conference clips as we will throughout the show. But Mike White gets absolutely drilled the first time by Ed Oliver, who gives him like a choke slam. And by the way, the officiating was questionable. I hate going to officiating. I hate making excuses. But there was just a couple of them where, again, the Jordan Poyer one, that was clearly late hit out of bounds. Where's the ref? Tre'Davious White smacking the ball to Garrett Wilson's hand. That is an automatic 15-yard penalty. It's in the friggin' rule book, people. So there was a couple of penalties where you're like, what the hell, official? So some of that was questionable. But I'm not going to blame that as the reason why the Jets lost. Go to injuries. Mike White gets smacked the first time. He misses 2 plays, and then he's back in. Then he gets hit the second time, and that's where he has to go back to the locker room and get medically evaluated. We'll have an update on Mike White here shortly. But that goes back to one of the big reasons why the Jets lose this game. So the only other quarterback who was active is Joe Flacco. Zach Wilson was a healthy scratch for the 3rd straight week heading into this contest. So Joe Flacco had to go out there. And what does Joe Flacco do as soon as he goes out there? Immediately strip sacked. Bills recover. They get 3 points. In a game where points were at a premium, the Jets literally handed 3 points on a silver platter. Here you go, Buffalo, and just gave them 3 points. So Joe Flacco, you suck, pal. You suck. I mean, good Lord, have mercy. Like, man, I never want to see Joe Flacco in a Jets uniform as long as I'm alive, if I can make that clear. Another turnover, Michael Carter. And here's the big one. So we mentioned the Joe Flacco fumble immediately led to Buffalo points. So 3 points on the board. That's critical, especially in a game where the Jets lose by 8. If they're only down 5, you're operating perhaps a little bit differently at the end of that contest. The Michael Carter fumble. The Jets had the ball with 5 minutes and 34 seconds remaining. They were down 20-9. Michael Carter fumbles the ball. Michael Carter has been a big disappointment this year in a lot of respects. What the Bills are able to do is they are a quick 3 and out after that fumble, but the big thing is the clock, okay? They took 2:21 off the clock. 2:21. So it went from the Jets had the ball at 5:34 remaining to the Jets had the ball at 3:13 remaining, and the Jets ultimately got in field goal range, got a field goal, kept it a 1-score game at 8, but that the fumble, Joe Flacco, which gave the Bills 3 points, and the fumble by Michael Carter took off critical time at the end of the game, and the Jets just ran out of time. And so they were forcing a few things, and it just didn't happen. Final pass batted away there by Mike White. Those are the 2 big ones. And then, of course, we have to bring up C.J. Mosley, the end of the first half. Bills have the ball in their own territory, 4th and 1. And what we had was the tight end in vogue play, as Robert Saleh called it, where Josh Allen is like confused, looking at the sideline going, oh, what's going on? And Dawson Knox goes under center, and he starts like, hut, sit, hut. And CJ Mosley like points out, he's like, aha, I saw this on tape, because remember, the Dolphins did it to the Jets in that matchup in week 5. So he was like looking out for it, and he freaking Troy Polamalu jumped over the line of scrimmage and chokeslams Dawson Knox. The only problem is Dawson Knox didn't hike the football. Robert Saleh after the game said, I don't even think they were going to hike the football, but he gave the Bills credit for great pre-snap play design. CJ Mosley, of course, on a 4th and 1, gets a 5-yard encroachment penalty. The Bills end up scoring a touchdown. There are 7 critical points that the Bills would not have had. The Jets may have gotten the ball back on the punts, because who knows if the Bills do that. The Jets could have called the timeout. I am still cool with the decision by the Jets not to call a timeout, because if you call a timeout and the Bills go for it, they have plenty of time to work with. So you had to let them milk it all the way down. But the key was not going offsides or encroaching or doing the weird, bad Troy Polamalu impression of diving over the line of scrimmage. That was key for the Jets, and they were not able to do so. So those are the big plays. That's what lost the Jets the football game. The ones that hurt more is when you have this, that, or the other in terms of the Jets possibly winning this football game, because there were so many things that went wrong from that perspective. So those are the things that went wrong. We'll talk about some of the things that went right, and we'll work our way through this. Again, make sure you guys support the show wherever you are. Again, you can do it for free if you'd like. Anyone who's watching could do this. You can like the video, hit subscribe, or if you feel generous enough on YouTube, the YouTube Super Chat feature is available where you can give a tip to the show, and we will highlight your comment and give you a major shout out here on the show. That helps the cogs move on this. Jacob Finnegan, I'm ticked off, Paul, as am I, Jacob. We could have, should have, would have had this game. The Jets, on one sense, you look at the last 2 weeks. Jets have lost 3 of their last 4. But let's point out the last 2 weeks in particular. At Minnesota, at Buffalo. Incredible teams, 2 playoff teams. And on one sense, if you want to be a glass half full guy, you could say, wow, the Jets just traded blows of Minnesota. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, won. Lions actually beat the Vikings today. And then the Bills, obviously, was 0-0 for like the majority of the first half. The game was hanging in the balance, and they could have won that game. So on one sense, if you're glass half full, you're like, wow, we traded blows with these 2 elite teams. Like, that's got to make you feel good. On the other side, I don't feel like we're in this moral cookie stage of like we just found ways to lose. So you should be excited as a Jets fan because everything is in front of the Jets. The only thing that's not anymore is the division, of course, with the Bills winning, the entity of Buffalo having 10 wins and the Jets only having 7. It's very unlikely with the games remaining that they'll be able to overcome that to win the division. So division hopes, which didn't really exist before the year, but kind of manifested in the middle of the year as a maybe possibility. The Jets losing those 2 key games to New England took them out of it, and obviously finding a way to lose this game. I mean, those were the critical ones. If you wanted a chance at the division, you had to do something against New England twice, and obviously they did not. So division title hopes are out the window. However, the playoffs are still firmly in the mix. Right now, the Jets are the 7th seed, and now what you want to root for, weirdly, pull out your Miami Dolphins hats in the closet, folks, because the Dolphins play the Chargers tonight on Sunday Night Football. You want the Dolphins to beat the Chargers. The Chargers and Patriots are the 2 teams behind you that are in the mix for the playoffs. Patriots 6-6, Chargers 6-6. And if the Dolphins beat the Chargers, drop them to 6-7, you will have that 1-game gap. And then you have 2 favorable home games against Detroit and Jacksonville, who, by the way, both got massive wins today. But again, those are teams who will be favored against at home in those 2 contests. And it's simply about taking care of business. Now, the New England Patriots play the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to be honest, don't really love that, even though New England will be on the road. I think Cliff Kingsbury sucks as a head coach. But maybe Arizona can do something. They should have, could have, would have beaten LA a couple weeks ago, so maybe. But that is the new rooting interest. Dave Nichols, time to bring Zach back. I will tell you, Robert Salah after the game said, no way, Jose. He said emphatically that if Mike White is healthy, and we'll give you the Mike White update here in a second, that he will be the quarterback for that Lions game, quote, for sure. So, again, he could change his mind like anybody, but if it's a healthy Mike White, he is playing. Zach Wilson, I think, will be promoted from the healthy scratch he's been the last couple of weeks to QB2. So if Mike White has some more rib issues or any other injuries, it will be Zach Wilson getting that opportunity. I do believe that's going to happen. And I would make that decision happen as soon as this week. I am not kidding. I have seen enough of Joe gosh darn Flacco. So I think Zach Wilson will make the elevation from QB3 to QB2, but it will not jump to QB1. Again, that is Mike White's team, as Robert Salah said, after the game. But I will give you the update. Mike White was sent to a local Buffalo hospital after all his injuries. Robert Salah said it's, quote, precautionary. But here's the fear with a potential rib injury for those who don't know or have not played football, have not had their ribs injured before. When you have your ribs injured, depending on what it is, a cracked rib, broken rib, whatever, there's a chance at internal bleeding because those ribs that are normally pointed one way could be pointing another and could touch all your ooey gooeys on the inside and potentially cause some internal bleeding, cause a rip. And if it was, would go unchecked, it could be a huge situation, cause a whole host of other issues. Obviously, if your blood is internal bleeding on the inside, could cause all kinds of issues. So the Jets, from a precautionary standpoint, have sent him to the hospital, and he will be at the hospital. The plan is that he will go to the hospital, get checked, get the A-OK, jump back, and be ready as the team plane leaves later tonight for New Jersey. So that's the plan, and we will see if that ends up being the case. Let's go to Aaron. Mike White was throwing dots. He sure was. I'm going to be honest. Mike White showed a level of toughness that we thought we saw in the Minnesota game where he got shellacked and came back out on the 4th and 10. I mean, he was getting obliterated. Matt Milano gave him like a Goldberg spear. Ed Oliver picked him off the ground and slammed him down, and beyond that. So he got pressured 18 times, was sacked 3 times. Like, he was beat up in this game, no question about it. He showed a level of toughness. I just wish the offensive line would have done something. Like, holy hell, man. You get a gosh darn pass block out there or something. Help a brother out. I mean, Mike White was getting mugged back there. He should check after the game to see if he has his wallet. I mean, good Lord. But he showed a level of toughness. It was impressive. A couple of Garrett Wilson dimes was very nice. His ball placement was back. It was missing last week early in the game, but it was back for this game. That was very encouraging to see. He just had some money ones. Probably my favorite one, I think it was the third down play, trip bunch on his right, Braxton Berrios on the wheel, and he dropped it in the only spot he could have. And a great catch by Braxton, of course. So Braxton redemption game, I suppose. And then just laid it right there. So Mike White had a couple of throws where you're like, zoo-wee mama. And he just booyah. He just hit it. So for all the excuses people are saying for Bills, Josh Allen, the conditions were questionable, this, that, and the other. I mean, Mike White was able to do it. He nearly had his third straight 300-yard passing game. The only reason he didn't is because he missed all that time getting checked out in the medical tent. He had 268 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks, 78.6 QBR. I mean, he outperformed Josh Allen, who was sacked 3 times himself and only had 147 yards passing. So Mike White outdueled Josh Allen. Now, where Josh Allen got the Jets, of course, was running the football, 10 carries for 47 yards. That was impressive. But 100%, he was throwing dimes out there, for sure. Jay Spector, this game proved the Jets can compete with the top teams. Too many mistakes. Quite frankly, you're right. The penalties, turnovers, of course. Yeah, just too many mistakes all across the barnyard, for sure. There's just no question about it. But yes, if you want the glass half full, and I said it already with the Jets beating the Bills earlier this year, but competing once again with them, that it showed that first one wasn't a fluke, despite what some Bills fans are saying on social. Depending on what Bills fans are talking to, some gave a lot of respect to the Jets. Others said, Jets are a bunch of crap and they got lucky the first time. I don't know. For me, I think the Jets did show that they can compete with anybody. It's about putting all the pieces together. Jacob Finnegan, Quinnen was on his way for a career day. Amen. 2 sacks again. The good news is that he's going to make a recovery, it seems. So let's all pray for Quinnen. And all the guys got injured. I mean, George Fant got beat up. He came back in. Mike White got beat up. All the guys. I mean, so many guys got injured. It was tough to see. Too many injuries. And the Jets have angered the football gods, I suppose. But hopefully he comes back because, Captain Obvious here, but Quinnen Williams on this defense is a completely different defense, and Quinnen Williams not on this defense, which again should just motivate the Jets if they weren't already to pay the man and give him the bag, because Quinnen Williams is a freak. Vic James Sr., damn, 0-2. We need to run the damn ball more. This big L on O-line, offensive coordinator, and the coach is play calling. I will say, running the ball, I thought they did a good job with Zonovan, who he had 71 carries in this game. Michael Carter was trash. I mean, he had 5 carries for 5 yards in the fumble, averaged 1 yard a clip, and he didn't even get going like in the receiving game. He had 3 catches for 15 yards, but it was just not there. He had 6 targets in the game. Michael Carter, for whatever reason, is not going right now. I don't know what you do, because, in the future, it's going to be nice. Breece Hall, Bam Knight, Michael Carter is like their 3-back set, but like James Robinson was another healthy scratch. Would he do better than Michael Carter? I don't know. Bam is doing great. More carries for Bam, more touches for Bam. He's just fantastic. North-south runner. He just finds ways to get things done, but they need another compliment there. And Michael Carter, he was a tough watch today. He was a tough watch. Aaron, 11 sacks at defensive tackle in 14 games. Yeah, again, it is wildly impressive. So I hope people really appreciate what Quinnen is bringing to the table. A double-digit sack pass rusher, which, again, the Jets haven't had in 7 years. It's coming from the inside, and it's a 4-man rush. He's been doubled 64% of the time this year, folks. And I tweeted this out earlier, which is why I'm a good follow, at BoyGreen25, baby, on the old Twitter sphere. He's been doubled, like we've heard in the past, right? Leonard Williams is a really good example. Like, oh man, Leonard is getting a lot of pressures. Like, he's not getting the sacks because he gets doubled all the time. And us as Jet fans would go, well, at least he's getting doubled. That's a reasonable excuse for why he isn't producing. Quinnen Williams getting pressured, He's getting double teamed 64% of the time. And look at him, 11 sacks. So enough of that, he's getting double teamed excuses. Look at Quinnen. He's fighting through all the double teams and making plays happen. Like, Quinnen Williams is a freaking superstar. No question about it. He is a stud. And speaking of records, I want to get this in real quick, make sure I don't forget. Garrett Wilson, 6 catches, 78 yards today on 7 targets. And by the way, old Garrett Wilson is now the all-time leader in rookie receiving yards in Jets franchise history, topping Keyshawn Johnson earlier today. He's another guy that's got 4 more games on the slate to add to that total. Garrett Wilson's got wiggle. He's got juice. He is sexy. It is fantastic. He's just a playmaker. His ability to wiggle and move and shake free, it's dynamic, and another reason why Jet fans should feel really excited. So he now holds the record, and he is well set, potentially getting 1,000 yards this season, which would be another first. We have not seen that since 2015 as well, where we had Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker getting 1,000. So it could be the streak killer this year of course, the double-digit sack pass rusher, that happening, the 1,000-yard receiver, and maybe playoffs, which 11 years in running. So no question about it. Patrick Lee Jennings on our Facebook page. Mike White is tough as nails. He has toughness, heart. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Even though he lost the last couple of games, he gave us a chance to win both of them. Yeah. I mean, if anyone is saying that, you know what, Mike, the Jets are losing, which they are, and Mike White's a problem, then they're answering the wrong question then, because Mike White has been the answer. He has been delivering when the Jets have needed it. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Again, the 2 picks that have been on Mike White's ledger. First one, Corey Davis should have caught. It was also passing interference. And the second one was at the end of the game when at 4th down, you don't want to end up with the ball in your hands. You want to at least give him a shot, and there was a pick. So there are reasonable explanations for both picks on quote-unquote Mike White's resume. So he's been balling out, man. It's been fantastic. So, yeah, he is fantastic. Let's see. Momo Adamo, O-line was horrid today. Yeah, that one's bad. I was horrid today. Let's see, Momo, you suck. Flacco, you suck. I never want to see you in a Jets uniform again. I think we all agree on that. Again, his mobility just isn't there. Like, it's just frustrating. Like, and he's a free agent to be. I hope he just retires or goes somewhere else. I think it's done. It was cool what happened week 2, Cleveland. Like, he was obviously a chapter in that story, but I am ready to just pick a different option. James Horan here. Cut Flacco, try Streveler or Wilson. Again, if Mike White's unhealthy, Zach Wilson's your starter. I don't think there's a doubt about that. Because, again, if they go to Flacco, I'm going to throw up. And Streveler, yeah, I mean, I'd be intrigued. Why not? What do you have to lose? Again, Flacco just hasn't shown me anything. Maybe he's given something behind the scenes we aren't seeing, but it's tough. It's tough. Let's go to that one. Whatever happened to fullback play at the 1st and goal, 1 yard for the first touchdown fullback play? Yeah, I don't know. I'm all for creativity. That kind of stuff always works, but I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if you're talking about a play in particular, or just in general on the fullback play. Let's see. Momo Adamo. After the season, there's no reason for Flacco to be on this team. Yeah, he's probably on the team, I would imagine, moving forward. But at the end of the year, it's probably over. Let's go to Steven Rosiak here. You got to love Salah, Paul. He's challenging his team by saying we're going to see this team again, and I think they're going to respond in aces. All the Zach Truthers out there can cut out. Yeah, let's play that clip. Wow, that was my favorite clip watching the press conference. And it was a wow quote. It's going viral right now, and for good reason, from Robert Salah. Let's put this up on the big board. Salah had a message for the Buffalo Bills, and we'll actually play another funny clip after this. But first, a very serious clip. Robert Salah, he believes we're going to see this team again. Here's Robert Salah.
What do you walk away with today? Do you feel like this is a missed opportunity here? What's your emotion?
Obviously, I love our guys. They fight their tails off, but I think I speak for everyone in that we missed an out. We're going to see these guys again. So,
What makes you say that?
I just think we are.
And there it is, Robert Salah. So again, in case you missed it, Robert Salah just said, hey, we're going to see this team again. Now, obviously, what he means is the playoffs is what he's talking about, a future playoff matchup. Now, currently with how it's constructed, it would have to be just some future playoff matchup because the Bills have the 1 seed right now after their win. The Jets are in the 7 hole. The only way they play in the first matchup is if the Bills get knocked off the 1 seed, it would be 2-7. So in that particular scenario, but he's just saying in general, I just think it's going to happen. Why he was asked, why do you say that? Why do you think that? Because he just thinks we're going to get another whack at the piñata. And by the way, I'd love another whack at the piñata. Buffalo's good. I'm not doubting Buffalo, but in the first game, the Jets won. In the second game, the Jets had a host of injuries that obviously affected the game. And the Jets, were able to, be in it. It's not like the Bills. It would be one thing if the Bills blew out the Jets. The Bills did not blow out the Jets. The Jets lost by 1 score, and they were in it. And again, a couple of these injuries. Now, I will say I have to go to another one. So Robert Sauer says, I think I speak for everyone. We want to see these guys again. Let's play these guys again. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. But I have to play this clip from Garrett Wilson. It's a minute and 13 seconds, guys, but it's hilarious. So Robert Saleh, for those who don't know, he speaks first. So Robert Saleh speaks to the media first. Now, normally it would be Mike White, the quarterback, after, but because of the hospital visit, he did not speak to the media. So then, after those 2 press conferences, the media is released into the locker room, like talk to whoever the hell you want. The media finds Garrett Wilson, and you're going to love this clip because he is told that what Robert Saleh just said at the podium about playing the Bills again. And here is just perhaps the funniest back and forth I think I've ever heard. Here's Garrett Wilson and the reporters talking to him about playing the Bills again.
Saleh just told the media that we're going to see these guys again, the Bills. So obviously that means playoffs. What do you take away from that when your head coach says that publicly?
Yeah, I mean, we expected, I don't know. Saleh said we're going to see him again and we're going to see him again. I don't know. I don't know how this scheduling stuff works, for real.
Well,
Thought this was the last time we played him for the year.
What do you mean the playoffs?
Yeah. He meant the playoffs?
Well, that's what he meant, yeah.
What day, 2 seed? We the 7?
No, they're the 1 right now. So
Word.
Be the 7 right now.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we get to see him again. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
He's saying he's confident you guys are going to make the playoffs.
Oh, word. Me too. No, yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, no, for sure. Me too.
So what gives you that confidence?
And he goes on to say his confidence in the team, which was funny. So you're seeing Garrett Wilson, right? He's like, wait, we don't play them again. No. It would be in the playoffs. So they're the 2 seed? No, they're the 1 seed. He's like, you could see like in his head, the cogs are going to try to figure out how the Jets would play the Bills. And again, he's coming right off a game. Like, I'm not making fun of him. It's like funny. It's like, because again, like Garrett Wilson, he's like the Terminator. His sole focus is winning the game that's in front of him. Can't worry about playoff seedings or how the NFL schedule works. But that was perhaps the funniest back and forth I've ever seen, which is, that was awesome. That was funny. But yes, Robert Saleh says, hey, we're going to see him down the line. Garrett Wilson doesn't know how they're going to see him, but if they see them, he's just going to go to town. So that was fantastic. And by the way, on the much more serious note on Saleh, I love it. Like, you know what? We feel like we let some ops go, which is what Saleh said. And I feel like, we can match up with him again, and let's see, we ain't scared. And that's a comment that actually Jim Nantz, who, again, I tell you guys that one of the things I like to do on top of enjoying our own Jets media coverage of like interviews, press conferences, and podcasts, I listen to the opponent. And Jim Nantz, who of course was on the call, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, Jim Nantz joined One Bills Live, which is their Buffalo Bills show. And he said, the one thing I've gathered from the Jets and from Robert Saleh and his message to the team is they aren't scared. And they're not scared of the Buffalo Bills. So they do have this sense of confidence if this Jets team makes the playoffs. And I feel pretty good about them making the playoffs. We will see. We will see what happens, that they can make some noise. And they would not be afraid of anybody, whether it's the Chiefs, which is the team they'd play right now. We'll see how the rest of the game shake out. I'm not afraid of any team. Get us in the play. I ain't picky. Shoot. The Jets haven't been in the playoffs since 2010. We could play, I don't care, a Globo Gym, Average Joe's, Yo Mama, My Mama. I don't give a flying hoot who we play. Play us somebody, man. We're in the playoffs. I wouldn't care. Let's get some playoff football. Mark Reese, we need the Dolphins to win, right, Boy Green? Amen. As I said earlier, again, now the division is out of hand. There is some outside possibility they could get it, but really, within reason, within rational world, the division is out of town. It's not going to happen now. So what you need to focus on is the playoffs. And there are two teams trying to steal your spot. Two teams are trying to take food off your plate, off your family's plate. The LA Chargers and, of course, the New England Patriots. The Patriots have the tiebreaker over the Jets. So you do not want to tie with New England. That means they would leapfrog you, and there would be nothing worse than the Jets getting swept by the Patriots this year, who I do not think is a good team, and them costing you a playoff spot because you lost a tiebreaker to a team you should have beaten. I don't know how I would handle that if that happened. New England's got an incredibly difficult schedule. They play the Bills again. They play the Dolphins again, and they play the Bengals. To me, those are 3 L's. And if those 3 L's hold, the Patriots are currently 6-6, and then they would be 8-9 if that held. And they have 2 other games, the Raiders and the Cardinals. We'll kind of see. I don't know. The Raiders just found a way to lose to Baker Mayfield after 36 hours. He wasn't even on the team. However, we're just going to have to take it a week-by-week basis. But yes, tonight, root for the Miami Dolphins, which is weird. And then Monday Night Football, Arizona Cardinals, baby. That would be great if both of them lost in that way. So we will see. And by the way, the Jets and Chargers will have to see. The tiebreaker, since they did not play head-to-head this year, will be AFC Conference. The Jets, of course, losing today to the Buffalo Bills, and Chargers playing the Dolphins, a big AFC Conference tiebreaker tonight. So, again, a lot up in the air from this standpoint. Jacob Finnegan. I trust the defense and offense, but don't trust LaFleur. Yeah, he's been hit and miss, but he's had some, I thought in the red zone today, getting the ball design of the night. Booyah. Red zone issues. I think not. We're able to score. And obviously there's a lot of weather factors as well. So I'm fine with LaFleur. I'm fine with LaFleur. Let's go to this. Ooh, Adam Thomas. Love how nothing is Mike White's fault. He's been declining each week, but let's blame others. How about talking about his horrible first half? Missed passes, no touchdowns. If Wilson had a game like today, you and everybody else would be shitting all over him. Adam, I love differing opinions, if we even want to call it that. Nothing is Mike White's fault. I mean, the wintry conditions were both. Josh Allen sucked just as bad. He had like 20 yards passing in the first half, so no, I mean, to be honest, Mike White outplayed Josh Allen. So if we want to line up the stats, he beat him in every statistical major category. The only thing he didn't was passing touchdowns, which is the first touchdown the Jets gave up to Josh Allen all year from a passing perspective. So I never have said Mike White is perfect. Not at all. But he is not the reason the Jets lost today, in my opinion. Did he miss a couple throws? Sure he did. But so did Josh Allen on the other side. So I would aggressively push back on that, Adam, to be honest. And he's been declining each week. I don't know, against the Vikings, he looked pretty good. I don't know, against the Bears, he looked pretty good. So I'm not sure about the declining each week thing either from a statistical standpoint. So I would also push back on that. James, congratulations on Jets covering. I had that for my radio show, so very nice. 9.5 just felt disrespectful. They did barely cover. Momo Adamo, Paul, do we bring in an experienced quarterback next season? Without a doubt. I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of who. Who is the guy? Again, the only quarterback under contract for the Jets next year is Zach Wilson. Mike White's a free agent. Joe Flacco's a free agent. Chris Trevler even is a free agent. So I think 100% they will. Who is that guy? I think it's going to depend on the Mike White contract situation. Like, how much does he command? To me, my projections say ultimately at the end of the year, he's going to be somewhere in that 10 to 15 million per year range on a 2 or 3 year deal. Now, some people are going to say that's ridiculous. I'm not paying that. Well, if you don't, someone will. Someone will pay him. Tony Romo was even talking about it on the broadcast today that he's done enough to warrant a contract. He did not talk about the specific numbers, but I believe so. Let's see. Let's keep going here. I'm saying release Flacco immediately. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Momo Adamo pretty much can't take the Corey Davis injuries anymore. Paul, do you agree? Yeah, it's been frustrating, and especially again, he has the pre-snap penalty early. You're like, gosh darn it, Corey Davis, and he has a ridiculous sketch. You're like, ooh, it's just classic Corey Davis. It's a roller coaster of Corey Davis, which is incredibly frustrating, by the way. But I'll tell you, Denzel Mims, when he got a few ops today, he ended up, making some things happen. He had 3 catches, 35 yards. Okay, Denzel, 5 targets. Making some things happen. I didn't notice any egregious error from Denzel Mims, but with the money they could potentially save and some big-time decisions the Jets are going to have to make in the offseason, it is possible the Jets move on from Corey Davis. They seem to really like him. They seem to really, appreciate what he brings to the team and run blocking and things of that nature, but we'll kind of see where they go from there. But the injuries are incredibly frustrating. Again, he kind of got roundhouse kicked in the back of the head, or it was a knee or something. Like, I don't know, but all the injuries stacking up are really concerning. And it's weird because prior to coming to the Jets, he was about as clean as you could get from an injury perspective. I think he only missed 2 games and whatever it was, 4 years with the Titans. And again, here, like everyone, as soon as they get here, they start getting injured. Yes, of course. How can we miss that? MM Morris, JJ with the only block, only reason we had a chance. Yeah, Jermaine Johnson, great rip. Had the punt block. Again, if they recover it, it's a touchdown, and that would have been 14-20. And then all of a sudden, maybe a very different scenario. But he punt blocks. It goes at the back of the end zone, so you get the safety and the ball back. And he almost blocked the second one. People are not talking about that on social. He reached out the hand and almost blocked a second punt, which, of course, could have won the game for the Jets. Who knows what could have happened from that perspective. So, again, he is a very, very big-time player. Again, all these draft picks making plays. Let's go to Raw Power here. I'm not bringing back Davis, Lawson, or Fant next year. Fant would be hard to believe, in my opinion, of him coming back. Lawson, I'm going to be honest, Raw, we haven't really talked about this a lot. Carl Lawson has been so underwhelming, like incredibly, and it's frustrating. The Jets will have a potential opt-out at the end of this year to make a decision on Carl Lawson. We'll see, maybe a massive pay cut or something. But, man, he's been disappointing that when Quinnen's not in there, or even when he is, like, man, Carl Lawson should be going off here. I'm not sure if it was the Achilles injury has taken away the power because we never saw what full straight Carl Lawson looked like because, he didn't make it to that regular season of that season. So that one's tough. Corey Davis, I could see not being here. So, yeah, I could imagine none of those guys being back. Fant's an unrestricted free agent. Lawson and Davis are under contract, but their contract structure was such. They were both 3-year deals that third year they could get out. So very possible for sure. I could see that happening. Let's see. And I just got this, actually. I'll throw this up. This is from a guy who covers the Buffalo Bills, as we're doing live on the show. Greg Cover One. He's Greg Thompson. We've had him on the show in the past. He said, honestly, earned that nickname today on Mike White. That's one tough MFer. Just getting that tweet in from my good guy, Greg Thompson. Honestly, earned that name today. That's one tough MFer. Because I heard a lot of Bills fans kind of remember, and that's another big thing that I would say to the Mike White detractors in here. Last year, he imploded 4 picks. This year, in this game, he kept the Jets in it. He kept fighting back, being tough as nails. So, Mike F. and White, man, he has really galvanized this team, which has been really impressive. Let's see. Zach not dressing as criminal. Trey Knight. Again, I think that changes starting this week. I believe he'll be the QB2 moving forward. Jets Chaos, good Jets content creator on here. Mike White is clearly our QB1 the rest of the way. I would agree. Outside of injury, I do believe so. Let's see. I'm hearing a lot of excuses. Let's see. Thank goodness the Jets are steadfast and aren't giving up. Proud to be a Jets fan. I love seeing that, Bryant, commenting on our Facebook page, as am I. No, I'm not a big fan of moral cookies, but I will say that I am very proud of this team and how they keep fighting, for sure. Let's go back to Raw Power. As a long-suffering fan, can't you see the same record New England scenario? Just feels inevitable. Yes, I'm pessimistic, 40-year Jets fan. Pessimism is all I know. And Raw, I guess we balance each other out because I'm the most optimistic person on the earth. Maybe the Jets haven't hurt me enough yet to change my perspective, although 29 years on this planet, I've been hurt plenty by the New York Jets, but some obviously that have been fans even longer have been open to even tougher losses from that standpoint. There is a voice in the back of my head that certainly says, man, that New England thing could come back to haunt you. But again, being real, looking at the schedule they have remaining, I can see the Jets having a path to 10. And if you get to 10, you're in my opinion. And again, what do you need to get to 10? Lions, Jaguars, who, again, both won today. I'm not overlooking them, but those are teams you should be favored against. So you have those two back-to-back at home, and then one of the road games. So it's either Seattle or Miami. Seattle's getting slapped around right now by gosh darn Carolina Panthers. Let's pull up the latest scores there so we can react live. So in the battle of ex-Jets quarterbacks, which is something I normally would be watching, Carolina's winning 20-17. Carolina, 4-8 Carolina in Seattle. So I don't know. The Raiders went in there and beat Seattle. I don't think Seattle is this impossible team that people talk about. So again, that one is imminently winnable. Dolphins, I think so too. I really like how they match up with the Dolphins. We'll just kind of see in that game that'll be in Miami. But the three I love the most are the three that are up next: Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, you're 7-6 now. 7-6 now. You go 8-6, 9-6, 10-6. Boom, and then that final one, we see what that game means in terms of potentially seeding. So I feel very good about what's still on the schedule. I feel very optimistic, quite frankly, very optimistic. Let's see. Salah's starting to get annoying. Oh, some people are not fans of some of that talk. I've heard others say similar, that they just don't, enough of the talk, they want to see it, which is fine. But I kind of like, I think Salah has a good pulse of this team, which I really like. Let's see. Just hit the ball to Garrett. Again, that Vikings game for sure. That's for sure. We play the Detroit Lions next at home for those asking. And then you have the short week to the Jaguars Thursday Night Football. Looking forward to our only primetime game on the schedule. Maybe more. Keep it simple, RC. Time to bench Michael Carter for James Robinson. I'm open to it, quite frankly. After a game like that, I am totally open to it, and I may pull the trigger. The fumble is unexcusable, and he's just not finding lanes. He's doing too much east and west. He gets the ball, and he's like thinking, going, maybe this lane, maybe that lane, and then blah, he gets like paved. And I'm like, dude, make a decision. Just cut and go, man. Cut and go. And so that's been incredibly frustrating. He's normally a player that kind of like, prides himself on breaking tackles and making plays and making the first guy miss. And it was just tough. It was tough. I'm scared of the Lions. Lions just beat the Vikings. I saw that. I saw the Lions just beat the Vikings. But again, Jared Goff out in the wintry mix with this Jets defense. Again, Quinnen playing is huge, but I'm not afraid of the Lions. They're a good team, and Dan Campbell's got this team playing very well at this very moment, but I'll take my chances with the Jets, baby, for sure. Jags beat Titans today, too. I did see that. Jaguars very up and down. They've been blown out. They've won. They're a very hot and cold team, so we will see. Again, none of these are easy, but you are going to be favored in both of those games at home. Let's see what happens, I think. And I think those are must win. There's no other way to put it. Both of those two are must win. You should win those at home. You're going to be favored, and you got to win those games and then win one of the other two. That is the path. There is maybe a path if you get to 9 to get there in some form or fashion, but 10, you're not worrying about tiebreakers or anything, in my opinion. Let's see. Joseph saying the Jets may have one win on the schedule left. I want to be wrong, but I don't see that playoff look. Joseph, hey, different strokes, different folks, man. Different strokes, different folks. So I believe. I do believe. Lauren James. Paul, I'm tired of the referees wearing Bills Mafia drawers with a stain on the back. Just call fair or no calls. Yeah, I was very adamant about this in the past, that no matter what way you call it, okay, that you call it straight. And unfortunately, there was a lot of questionable stuff on both sides. I don't think it's a reason the Jets lost, but on the same token, I was not a big fan of the officiating today. Let's see. Momo Adama, appreciate the YouTube super chat, my friend. Thank you. It means the world when you guys can support the show. You get obviously a different colored highlighted comment, and it helps us do everything that we do. So thank you so much, Momo, for that, baby. Appreciate that. Thank you. Free Mimsy from Momo, 100%, and he will be if Corey Davis is out, which could be possible. Let's keep going here. Patrick Lee Jennings on Facebook. Not Jets related, but I can't believe how Mr. Irrelevant is all of a sudden very relevant. I thought San Francisco's hopes died when Jimmy G got hurt, as did I. And I saw the last time I checked, they were destroying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, Kyle Shanahan is a very friendly quarterback system. I think that helps as well. And maybe Brock Purdy is his diamond in the rough. So that could also be a factor as well. J.E. Conklin can't block or catch, and Tomlinson is horrible, stealing money. I'll have to check the PFF grades. Again, the overall offensive line did not do very well, so that was frustrating. Yeah, Conklin had a couple of misses. Mike White did miss him up the seam. I think that was Mike White on that. I'm pretty sure. No, that was Joe Flacco, actually. Excuse me. He had him on the seam, and that would have been a big play, and he blew that before Mike White came in to the game as well. Let's keep going here. Let's go. What is White going to develop to check down King? I don't believe so. No, I think we've seen those intermediate medium shots. It makes me feel pretty good. Can you please forward over the playoff picture? I will cover it again to name it in existence. Again, the Jets are in the 7 hole right now. The only way that changed, if New England wins tomorrow night, they would leapfrog the New York Jets by virtue of the sweep. And I'll have to get into AFC tiebreakers. Again, it is the AFC conference. Again, if the Chargers beat the Dolphins tonight, I think they would edge the Jets in conference. So they would also leapfrog the Jets as well. So again, you're rooting for the Dolphins and Cardinals tonight and tomorrow. That's what you're rooting for. And again, obviously, there's still a lot of season left to go here to feel good about it. That was a great quote. Jets 8:30. Daniel LaRusso is going to fight. Daniel LaRusso is going to fight. That Tony Romo had some great lines today. The Mr. Miyagi working on Mike White in the locker room was funny. The Daniel LaRusso, the Karate Kid, some great lines. And again, we don't get to hear Tony Romo often because it's CBS's #1 broadcast team. And the last time Jim Nantz and Tony Romo had a Jets game was Jets-Cowboys, where Jets were at home at MetLife, and they got that win. So maybe good luck. I know ultimately they didn't the Jets didn't get the win today, but yes, I love getting the national attention. That feels good as well. Keep it simple, RC. Normally I'm intolerable after a loss. This one, not so much. Feeling good about the future and what we found our QB1. Again, it sucks because I in the middle of the game, I'm like, man, this game is hanging in the balance. And I will say the wind, and again, it's a little bit of a roller coaster. When Mike White's out, it's Joe Flacco. I mean, all the wind is out of my sails. So I'm like, Joe Flacco freaking stinks, man. Like, I have no confidence that Joe Flacco can do anything positive. And I'm saying that in my own head, and he gets strip sacked. And I'm like, son of a god. Gosh darn Joe Flacco, like, you freaking suck, man. But like, you know, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is so unfair, man. If the Jets just had their guys, they'd be winning this game right now. Like, I'm just saying that to myself over and over again. But of course, again, they weren't out there, so you just got to play who's out there. But boy, that was rough. That was rough. So again, I'm not intolerable. I'm pissed. Like, they shoulda, coulda, woulda won that game. But it's just frustrating from that perspective. That gets me a little bit. Let's go back to Joseph. Why are you very optimistic about Detroit? They finish drives and Jets don't. Let's go through a couple of those factors off the top. An early Detroit preview. I will say this, Joseph. One thing that I love is that when the Lions have played some tough defenses, like let's go New England for an example, they were blown out. I think they lost 26-0 in that game. So when they've played bad defenses, they've done very well. The Vikings were susceptible. We saw that against the Jets. When they've played like Seattle and they went, it was like 48-45 or something. Seattle's got a terrible defense. Like, when you play a bad defense, your Lions, they are very capable. They were one of the most potent offenses in the NFL in the first 5-6 weeks of the season. But the Jets are not this pushover team. They match up very well. They've got the corners. I saw Jameson Williams was back, the speedster. That'll be a good matchup. Jameson versus Sauce. But you go to the running game. DeAndre Swift has been wildly inconsistent. Jamal Williams, does he scare you on the ground? To me, he does not. They no longer have TJ Hawkinson. I don't know. I feel like the Jets match up very well, and the Lions defense sucks. So Mike White, in theory, could be going off. So it's kind of like what I said in this game, is that I like the difference between our defense against their offense versus our offense against their defense. To me, that is cataclysmic, and that difference will result in the win, in my opinion. That's why I'm so confident in it, Joseph. And I'm all about people pushing back and questioning things. Why do you feel confident about this? Like, again, the Lions defense is trash. It sucks. The Jets defense is very good. Elite, you could even say. They've heading into this Bills game, and I could even add up the Bills game too, but heading into this Bills game over the last 4 weeks, the Jets defense had given up 10 points combined in second halves heading into this week. 10 points, 4 teams, second halves. That's an unbelievable stat. This Jets defense has been freaking elite. And again, obviously, what happens with Quinnen will be huge, but that's it for sure. Let's see. Stats mean nothing if you don't get the win. Agree. But it's something to look at as we evaluate things. No more Joe Flacco. Berrios, he had the big catch, but I understand. I will say this, a quick clarification. For a lot of people were kind of confused on the Braxton Berrios thing. Braxton Berrios did a phenomenal job on the punt return. Now, did he get incredibly lucky? Of course. Whenever you get, and as a former punt returner, if you get close to that ball and you dive out of the way, anything can happen with the ball bouncing, flopping everywhere. You have to have a little bit more conviction of that decision. However, the threat of Braxton being there allowed it, because you have to allow the receiver returner the ability to catch. So it's not like the Bills guy could blow up Braxton Berrios. He has the right to touch the ball first. So it was actually sneaky smart by Braxton to try to get the punt return. The Bills couldn't just catch it themselves and down the Jets at the 1. And when he dove out of the way last second, because the weather or whatever went into Braxton's head, he dives out of the way and the ball starts rolling towards the goal line. Bills think Braxton touched it. They jump on it like a pack of rabid wolves, and Braxton follows it just to make sure they go into the end zone, because if they touch it and they roll into the end zone, it's a touchback. So it was a sneaky, smart decision by Braxton. I know a lot of fans blew up and got angry at Braxton. Again, he got a little bit lucky in terms of the ball bouncing, but the decision was correct in making sure you try to receive the punt and kind of fade off the Bills special teams and then dive out of the way and then confirm that it rolls in there, because people also don't know this. If the defenders touch the ball first, okay, so Braxton's going to catch the punt and it's touched by a Bill first, Braxton can touch the ball after the Bills defender touches it, and there is no penalty. There's no, if he touches it and then fumbles, it doesn't matter. That's in the NFL rulebook. So that's the other reason why Braxton was following it as well. So that was a little bit lost in the mix, but I just want to give the proper credit to Braxton Berrios on that, because that was super intelligent. I'm going to have Leon Washington here in the future, because I love Leon, and obviously he does great work with the Jets as a coach, but I'm going to try to get him on in the offseason. I think he's really good. All right, let's go. Steve, they have not lost 3 in a row. They've lost 3 of 4. Steve, Jets beat the Bears. So they've lost 2 in a row, 3 of 4. So just to double check that one, Steve. And yes, the Lions are in a good position, but just so you don't know about that, dude, is that's not true. They beat the Bears. But so they've lost 3 of 4, which is not good. But just because if you flip a coin 10 times and it lands on head 10 times in a row, that doesn't make it any more likely that the 11th time will be a head. So I'm all for people having varying perspectives. Like some are like down in the mouth, like, oh man, the Jets are 7-6, not great. And others like me are like, hey, I can still see it. It's all right there in front of them. But like, to try to cool my temperature here, that's not going to work, Steve. Incorrect information will not cool my Jets, and neither will recent history. The Jets match up very well against the Lions. I feel good about it. Lions are no pushovers. I agree. The Lions are not a pushover. Let's see. We got another YouTube chat super sticker, James Horn. I really appreciate that, buddy. Booyah! And that is showing juicy additional love for all things on here, which I appreciate. So, James, thanks for supporting the show, brother. I love it. And you guys have been great. I love it. I love the back and forth. We don't have to say, wow, Paul, you're handsome. Thanks, James. Like, no, I'm all for good pushback on items or comments. Hey, this is a show of the people for the people. Let's push back. Let's have conversations. Let's dive in on things. I'm all about it. I love that right now. Let's keep going here. Lions D does not suck. I guess we'll push back on that. I believe the Lions defense is terrible, and I believe actually the analytics would back that up, which we could get to right now. Let's jump over. Let's see if Paul's wrong and Paul's spitting out bad stats. I'm sure that's always possible. So yeah, let's look up this Lions defense that everyone's talking about. Let me look up a couple of stats here, if I may. Thanks to our friends over at ESPN. Let's see. Where is Detroit here? So the Lions defense is not bad. Let's just take a gander, I guess. So Lions give up 403 yards per game. That's second worst in the NFL. The only one worse, the Vikings, the team they just beat. And what's the difference? Half a yard. People. Why question Boy Green? I'm giving you great stats here. The Detroit Lions defense is not good. I have the stats in front of me. I told you, people. They give up 403 yards per game. That's the second worst in the league, and it's only second worst by half a yard. Okay, let's jump over to the old. Let's look at passing yards. Where did the Detroit Lions rank? Oh, third worst. They give up, 263 passing yards per game. Third worst in the league. Interesting. All right, well, I'm sure they've got to be better from a rushing perspective, right? Like, how bad could they be in that category? Let's take a gander, if we will. Oh, wow. The Lions are in the top 5 there, too. They give up 139 rushing yards per game. What? So they're not good there. Interesting. All right, let's keep going here with the stats since this game's fun. Let's see where the Lions rank in points per game average. Wait, second worst in the league at 26.7 points per game? Are you saying, Paul, that actually you're backing up everything you're saying with stats? People, come on. I mean, for Pete's sake, Lions D does not suck. Well, Steve, check the stats, brother. Okay, they're bottom 3 in every major statistical category, including points per game, total yardage per game, passing yards per game, and rushing yards allowed per game. What the? Yes, they do stink. So, despite the mirage that may be in front of you with Lions winning a bunch of games recently, their defense, say it with me, everybody, S-U-C-K, sucks. It sucks. Okay, people? The Lions defense sucks. It's a total suck job. Complete suckage. Okay, so don't let anybody tell you different. This Jets-Lions team, again, this matchup, the Jets matchup with the Lions, fantastic. The Lions offense is going to play a really good Jets defense. The Jets offense is going to play a crappy thing. The Jets could do whatever the hell they want, apparently. Pass the football, run the football, do whatever, because the Lions can't stop a nosebleed. So let me just keep that in mind. Jet Central, another great content creator. Yo, great stream, bro. Appreciate you, JC. Jet Central doing God's work, which is good. Lions are good. Please stop. People, look at the stats. Watch the tape. For goodness sake, this Lions team is not good. Again, they're playing well now. I'm not saying they're just a pushover. I'm saying their defense certainly is. I just gave you all the numbers there from ESPN. I mean, come on, man. Not good. Dan Campbell hasn't playing hard. I won't agree with that. Sure. Detroit killed the Vikings. Again, the Vikings have the second worst defense in the league. The only one worse is checks notes the gosh darn Minnesota Vikings. So come on, people. I mean, for Pete's sake. For Pete's sake. I mean, I hate being right. That's a lie. I enjoy being right. There's no doubt about it. Let's keep going here through some more comments. Let's go. Anthony Joseph. Yo, Paulie and Jets Nation. Next 2 weeks should be 2 easy wins, and Seattle, Miami be tough. Let's frickin' go Jets. Again, I will disagree on the 2 easy wins. Maybe that's what they end up becoming, but I would say for sure that there are 2 teams the Jets will be favored against. And when you're at home and you're favored against a team and you're in the playoff mix, those are games you got to win. So I would say that. Let's keep going here. Okay. Let's keep going here. Does Wilson start next week? Paul Molina? No, I believe it will be Mike White. But I do believe Zach Wilson will be QB2. That's what I would say. Let's keep it going here. I do believe that it will be. Anthony Joe says, Paul, who is your favorite YouTube creator that you would love to work with and why? I hope to see Tom Grassi on your channel in the near future. Let's see. There's a lot of people out there, so I'm going to probably leave somebody out. Who would I love to work with? Oh, for sure. Daniel Jeremiah, Move the Sticks podcast. Obviously, he's got a lot of Jets connections. He's intimately familiar with Joe Douglas, for sure. He is on there. I know he's not exclusively just a YouTube guy, but he's got his own show. I'd love to get his insight on the show for you guys, getting stuff like that. We have a big week coming up. We'll see, fingers crossed, with a former player coming on this week. That's supposed to be set up, so fingers crossed that he's able to. I'll keep you guys posted on that. We should have that on Tuesday. But yeah, Daniel Jeremiah is one off the top of my head for sure that I would love. And I'm trying to think of there's a lot of good Jets content creators I really like that are out there doing their thing. But in terms of just kind of generic, my first one will be Daniel Jeremiah. Let's keep it going. Mr. Maji, of course. YouTube Super Chat. Appreciate it, brother. Is it just me or does Salah always seem subdued in his praise for Mike White? I don't think so. I'm going to be honest. I heard it today. He really went out of his way. I was going to cut up the clip where he just said he's tough as nails. And, maybe there is a general sense, Mr. Maji, where he's trying not to overplay his hand. But I would say there's been a few, because, again, you want to keep motivating Zach Wilson no matter what to keep working for something. Because if he thinks he's going to be a healthy scratch the rest of the year, while I hope just as the former number 2 overall pick, he steps up to the plate and wants to be the guy, and he's internally motivated from that standpoint. But it's a coach's job to make sure everyone is motivated with pieces of meat. And Zach Wilson's potential return is a piece of meat for him to be chasing, whether it's real or not. But I think there is a level of subduedness, to use a word, from that standpoint of like making sure you're not too pro one guy or the other, because you're a coach. You're supposed to be in the middle. You're just supposed to say, hey, yeah, this guy's played really well, and give spotlight where it does. But I will say there's been a few cracks like today. He said for sure, like almost obviously, Mike White is the quarterback against the Lions if he's healthy. And that just shows the confidence he has. When he was describing his toughness, go to the Vikings game last week. It was a middle of the week press conference, but he said, the balls for Mike White to have that play is tremendous. So he's really gone out of his way a few times, I would say, to do that. But I would say the subdued nature is kind of a general philosophy thing because he doesn't like, blowing smoke up skirts for no reason. Raw power, and that's another good one. 100% Rankins is better than Lawson. I don't know if I would go that far, but I would just say in general, Sheldon Rankin's return was spectacular. He's really important. So whether Quentin Williams is gone or not, I think that is another one as well that I would say was another major return, and it's really important for the Jets to have him. They really did a number on the internal. John Fitzpatrick. Okay, we have a testicle weight here. Mike White has more balls than any Jets quarterback I've seen in quite a while. This dude is a tough leader. I believe he's going to get better and better. And, oh, by the way, the Lions defense sucks. Yes, I've seemed to ruffle a few feathers of apparent Lions fans in our chat, so I apologize for the Lions attack. That was not in my notes to get to on the show, but here we are. But yeah, Mike White has balls. Again, he is proven. No one better than me. I said Mike White should be cut earlier in the year. I said the Jets should have kept Chris Trevler over Mike White. I said that. Yes. So, I mean, obviously Mike White's made a believer out of me. Now, do I think he's this franchise quarterback and this or that? I don't know. I still don't know. He's shown a lot of toughness, a lot of stuff here. But if I had to make a contract extension decision right now, I'd want to know the money. But yeah, he's a guy that you want to bring back, sure. But money's going to be a big thing here. But yeah, I mean, he's proven me. He's proven me wrong, and all the credit. And I love, by the way, being proven wrong. I've got no issue being proven wrong, and he's certainly done that. Joette, sometimes you just can't look at the stats. I'm assuming in the Lions conversation, I don't know what else to look at. My optics of I didn't even know those stats off the top of my head, but just my perception and kind of like talking to people. Like I did not think the Lions defense was very good. And then when I had multiple people going, I don't know, that Lions defense is actually better. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check the stats. Oh, wait, it's much worse than I thought. The Lions were even more terrible than I thought from an overall statistical standpoint. But again, apparently I'm only looking at overall stats, which blurs the line on the most recent Lions stat. Okay, people. Again, I'm just looking at the stats I have in front of me. Apparently, see, that's where we're making excuses for the Lions. And I don't know how this turned into a Lions hate podcast here on a Jets Bills immediate post-game show, but here we are, I guess. So let's talk about it. So people tell me, people in the chat says, hey, you know what? The Lions aren't bad. I'm like, okay, let me check the stats. Well, don't check those stats. Check these stats. Do you see when you're making excuses, when excuse making is happening? Well, don't look at this. Just look at this. Let me cover this. Just look at that. Like, okay. Do you see how the argument is kind of falling short here? Now, maybe Steve and Paul and apparently a couple other people save all this. This video ain't going nowhere. I'm not deleting this video. So if you want to do a couple receipts on Boy Green, screen grab. And let's talk after the Lions game or in the build-up to the Lions game. Maybe you guys will see, Paul, this Lions defense is the greatest thing since the 2000 Ravens defense. It's the greatest defense since the 1985 Chicago Bears. Okay, bring it up and let's see. But I'll also be looking for you if the Jets do anything and everything they want in this defense, because I hope all you guys are still there. I hope when I look for you, I'm like, hey, guys, where you at? You're going to be very quiet, I imagine. So there we are. Again, where all these Lions fans came from, I have no idea, but here we are. Steve Larson, let's see. If Mike White cannot play with the ribs issue, who starts ball? Zach Wilson, 100%. 100%. Now, Salah hasn't said that. No one said that. That's just my gut, Steve, is what I say. There's no way you can trot Flacco out there. Now, the only part that kind of throws a weird wrench into all of this is Zach Wilson was not, well, he's benched because he wasn't playing right. But part of the reason was the fundamentals that he seemingly has gotten away from, which was about a month ago when he considered practice time and everything else from the decision that was made. Did he fix those issues in a month? Obviously, if he did not, the Jets wouldn't put him back out there in theory. Why would you? You took him out because those issues would be bad. And if they were still bad, you put him back out there, you're going to potentially ruin your asset in Zach Wilson. But my gut says that the Jets quarterback would be Zach Wilson in that scenario. I'm seeing this one from Momo Adamo. How many times have the Jets covered this season? Yeah, let me look at the Jets against the spread line. I don't know off the top of my head, although I should because I do every game against the spread. Let me go to StatMuse. Jets have a record of 7-5 against the spread this season, according to StatMuse. So there you go, that data. Jets are apparently or 8-5, excuse me, now because of the Bills cover. So they're 8-5 according to StatMuse.com. There you go. I thought they've done very well against the spread. And that is true. Let's go. James, Romo said Zach Wilson is talented and possesses huge upside. Yeah, I will do a follow-up on that in terms of going back to grab those words and see what he says. He had massive things to say prior to the season, for sure. Let's see. Remember when Jet fans wanted to start Flacco all year? I was never on that frame. I don't believe so. Maybe you guys can go back and, receipt check me, but I do not believe I was on the Flacco train at any point whatsoever. Joe S. Mike White is a serviceable NFL quarterback. Yeah, he is, and maybe that's all he is. Robert, Slay is legit. If you're talking about Darius Slay, he no longer plays for the Lions. He's on the Eagles now. But, yes. Anthony Joseph, rest in peace to the coin. How are we losing 2 straight already and we won Bears and Bills between the freaking Patriots? What's your opinion of it? Yeah, again, this season's weird. The Jets had a chance, at the very least, no matter what your bias level is on the Jets. They had a chance to sweep the Bills. The Jets got swept by the Patriots. I mean, what more of 2022 do you need? So it's been a wild year. Again, the Jets have had games where they could have, should have, would have won. There's games where they could have lost. Cleveland, week 2. I'm sure Browns fans said the Jets shouldn't have won that game. They should have beat us. And if they did, the season's different. The same thing with some of these other games. So there are games they could have won. There are games they could have lost. That's just football, straight up. Jets Cubs fan 29, my friend. Thank you for the YouTube super chat, brother. Love this team in Salah, but a field goal on the 4th and short, I don't know. So let's talk about that. I know that was a point of contention. Then we're going to jump off here in a few minutes. But love this team. To me, it's a 1-score game. So I understand, because think about this. It wasn't 4th and short from the 1-yard line. So if you get a first down, you still can't use your timeout, so you're wasting more time. And I get it what Tony Romo was saying. Scoring the touchdown is harder to do than the field goal, and maybe you set yourself up better when you get the ball back. To me, you make it a 1-score game, because if you go for it and miss, the game's over, you lose. So there is an argument to be made for both sides. Me personally, I always kick the field goal in that scenario within reason. Maybe there are a few exceptions. In that particular case, I was cool with it and made it a 1-score game. 8 points was 1 score. If you kick a field goal and it doesn't make it a 1-score game, then of course you're an idiot. So, but no, that wasn't the case. So I had no problem at all with the field goal. Again, it made it a 1-score game, for sure. All right, let me see if I missed any more comments here. I love you guys. You guys are crazy, but I love it. So Jets Cub fan 29, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, everybody, I got to just say right off the top, thanks for another crazy show. This was awesome. Again, we talked to Jets Bills. It was also disappointing for a lot of the reasons we already mentioned. But guys, you guys are passionate, and I love the heck out of it, and I love your passion. To me, that's amazing. We will be back on the show tomorrow. We have Will Parkinson, our Jets insider, joining us. He'll be on for a live stream, and I'm supposed to have a current Jet starter is supposed to be on the show on Tuesday, baby. So as long as everything works out, last week he was out sick. He was part of the guys that had a flu last week. I can reveal that info as well. So he could not come on for that. Apparently I had to scoop before I had to scoop because I did not reveal that information to everybody. I just said he was out sick. So he is supposed to be back. So we have a Jet starter potentially back here coming up on the show on Tuesday. So guys, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe down below, and hit that bell notification so you never miss a video, baby. And we should have, again, we'll have Will Parkinson 100% live stream. That'll be in the early afternoon window or late afternoon window, however you want to frame that, in the 4 o'clock hour tomorrow. So guys, look out for that. We should have a current Jet starter on the show coming up on Tuesday. That'll be juicy. And of course, we're going to get into the Jets-Lions preview, and I'll be bringing on the Lions Insider. So I hope all you Lions fans in here, I hope you're there for that, because I always love going behind enemy lines and learning about the opponent, and we will indeed see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Lions defense has been incredibly much better, quite frankly, over the last batch of games, and maybe something has flipped. We will find that out. Former Jet great Aaron Glenn, of course, is coaching that side of the ball for the Lions. I enjoyed them on Hard Knocks during the offseason. So, guys, we've got a full week of content. Hope you guys can enjoy it. Glad you guys support the show, and we'll be back and talking about maybe a playoff run here for the New York gosh darn Jets. And I will also tell you this, I know this is in advance, but for the Thursday night game, obviously, we'll still have our normal post-game show. That'll be late, of course, because of the late nature of the game, but we'll have a full week of stuff for that as well. So, guys, looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow right here on the channel. Thanks, everybody. Peace out.